Beginnings are important, and the beginning of a coaching session is where we contract with the client or the coachee. It's where we clarify the purpose and the process of the conversation. Clarifying the purpose and the process helps us to fix a goal for the conversation. It helps us to focus together on the shared task. And it actually also helps us to be flexible and adapt as the conversation evolves if something more important emerges as the real meat, the real essential task that needs to be achieved through the conversation. And having clear and shared expectations for the conversation actually helps create a safe container for deep work to happen. It helps ensure that the conversation has ambition, that it exists to create change, and it also helps to differentiate the conversation that's about to happen from other conversations that we take part in, like friendship conversations or therapy, for example. So a clear contract helps to agree shared aims for the session. It keeps you focused. It helps you to review progress as you go. It helps you know when you've arrived at your shared goal. It helps you update the aims of the conversation if something more significant emerges. It helps the coachee to stay in control of the what and the how of the coaching conversation. And it provides a kind of success criteria to evaluate whether the coaching conversation has achieved what it's set out to or not. Some useful questions in this clarifying, contracting, beginning stage of the coaching conversation might be: what would you like to be different by the end of this conversation? What do you hope to get from talking this through today? What would good look like for us at the end of the coaching session? How will you know that we've achieved our aims today? Which bit of this conversation is most important for you to move forwards? How might you feel at the end of the session if this conversation has done its work? How do you arrive at this conversation? And is there anything specific you're hoping to get from it today? Complications that can arrive if there isn't a clear contract are they're not sure whether their coaching has added any value. It felt like the coachee was just coming to me for advice or wanting me to tell them what to do. It felt like the conversation was drifting into the realms of counselling or therapy. A really useful coaching framework that, especially as we're starting out and we're growing confidence in our coaching, is Peter Hawkins's CLEAR coaching framework. It's called the CLEAR framework because it uses the acronym CLEAR. The C stands for contracting, so that's this initial piece that we're talking about today. What's the purpose and the process of this conversation? What do we hope to achieve, and how do we want to try and get there? L is for listening, and for our purposes that's really about creating the conditions to reconnect people with the motivating energy of vision. So whether it be about long-term vision or short-term vision, what does good look like for them? What's their aspiration? What's their excitement? Where is it that they are hoping to get to with this area that's up for discussion? Then there's E for explore, which is the time of the conversation where you're exploring options, you're exploring different ideas, what's worked in the past, what have they tried, what could they do differently. Then you've got A for agreeing action, what are they going to do and commit to, and then this R piece at the end for review, which is almost out the other end, having finished the session, what went well, what's memorable, what's the learning that's been taken away, how have we worked effectively as a coaching partnership, and what could we do that might make us an even more effective coaching alliance. And then lastly, to reflect a bit on colour preferences and this early contracting stage of the conversation. I think of us really being in a kind of purple space in this contracting piece. So it's that sort of blue-red energy. It's the blue energy because it's seeking clarity and a really sort of measurable outcomes from the conversation, but it's also got some of that red results orientation, driving for ambition and progress. If you are coming from the red preference space, then the watch out here is to make sure that the contract that's designed really belongs to the client or the coachee. If you're in the yellow preference space, then what you need to be mindful in this contracting piece is not getting carried away with rapport building and enjoying the conversation and wanting to dive into vision and ideas, but to have the discipline to pause for long enough to clarify what good looks like at the end of the conversation. If you're in the green space coming to this contracting piece, again, the listening and the rapport building is likely to come very naturally, but you need to make sure that in this contracting piece that there's ambition enough in the contract that you're really going to push through your comfort zone as you work together as a coaching partnership. And if you're coming to this from the blue space, then your target, I think, is to not spend too long in the contracting piece, because this could be comfort zone for blue preference, that we're sort of getting down the process, we're agreeing the measurable outcomes, but that's just really the starting point for you to then push yourselves into the yellow and the red and the green spaces of the rest of the conversation.